Okay, so I wanted to talk about a couple things that my dad has done in my life to help make me successful. And first, I want to say that I was very lucky to be born with two amazing parents. Both my mom and dad are just the best and give me so much love and support. But in this video, I'm going to specifically talk about my dad and some of the things that he really pushed forward and that I think of when I think about him. And my growing up and how it's contributed to my success as an adult. So I have 5 things here. So the 5th one is I remember his principal with me and my brother. He would always say, "You guys are best friends." That was always the principal in our house growing up. He kind of wouldn't stand for us like bickering or fighting. Of course, we'd like snap at each other because sometimes my brother can just, push my buttons like no others, like siblings can. But we were always reinforced that, nope, you guys are best friends. And so even if we would have fights, at the end of the day, we'd make up and we kind of always knew we had each other's back. And that's true to this day, even though we live very different lives. He's in LA, I'm in San Diego. I still know in a minute he would drop everything he's doing and come to me if I needed. And same for me with him. So that principle of you guys are best friends and not really letting us like fight and squabble, that kind of taught me the power of loyalty and also just having that like strength in those bonds that you know that you can count on no matter what. I think that's made me more like secure as an adult and definitely contributed to my success. The 4th principle that he had was that when we were growing up, we must always respect him and my mom. So yeah, he would always say, you have to respect your mom and I. His kind of idea was at least until you're 18 and you're a fully grown adult, you're like living under our roof and, we are providing for you, so you need to show us respect. And that may sound like a given, but in the area that I grew up in, we're very fortunate to definitely be living in an upper middle class neighborhood where a lot of the kids got away with being a bit spoiled because we were in this, pretty well-off neighborhood. Like we went to a good high school, so in kind of a privileged area. And so seeing that and also just watching like TV shows at the time. I remember we used to love watching the OC when I was young. Even there you could kind of see that the kids were being a bit bratty to their parents and not really grateful for everything that their parents were doing for them. But in our house, we didn't get away with any of that. My brother and I, that just didn't fly. So you must respect mom and I was definitely a saying of my dad's. And I'm so grateful that I was brought up that way because it kind of kept me grounded and just brought forward that idea of bringing gratitude and respect to whatever situation that you're in, which has definitely helped contribute to my success. The 3rd thing that my dad would say, it kind of goes hand in hand. So the first one was that you can always have a book. That was his saying, and that anytime we wanted to like go to the bookstore, we would go to Barnes and Noble all the time. I remember when that was still a thing, real books. But yeah, he was very fond of the idea of learning and reading, and anytime that we wanted to have a book of any sort, he would fully support that and buy it for us. So he definitely had that love of learning. And the other thing is we always had the best technology growing up because that's something that he just likes himself. He's into the technology, but he also believed in it as a way to kind of better yourself. Like you can learn a lot through technology. And, I think he saw really early on the power of the internet. So we were very fortunate in that we always had good technology around us. We had this full setup of, I think we had like 3 or 4 monitors, a couple different computers. And this was before, it was pretty early. Like this was like the early 2000s. So he was definitely very early on and to kind of catch on to a lot of the technology trends. And we were some of the first to have like mobile phones. Yeah, so obviously we're lucky that we can afford those types of things. But it also provided me with the opportunity to kind of explore technology. And I'm a developer today, a software developer. And I remember my first line of code was on the Neopets website that we were playing on our, the big tech setup. It was this popular website, and you can write some HTML code to customize your store that you had in the game. So definitely the value of learning and technology was something that my dad always supported us with. So yeah, and obviously now I work in tech every day. It's been very important to my career and my success so far. Okay, 2 more. So the second to last one here is my dad brought so much fun and creativity to our lives. No one is more fun than my dad. And I'm so lucky that growing up, he was the one that was staying home with us. He was, when we got home from school, he was there. And then when we were off for the summer holidays, he was the one that was watching after my brother and I. So we used to call it, over the summer, we used to call it Doug's Fun Camp, because we wouldn't go away to a camp per se, but just being there with my dad over the summer, he would come up with all these really fun things for us to do just around the house and around our area and at home. And so, yeah, we'd call it Doug's Fun Camp. We would play Jeopardy games that he would make up. We had a great, dress up drawer where we'd put on costumes. And it was actually my dad's idea to have a full stage built for us, within our house. My mom, she just went along with it. But yeah, we had a literal wooden stage built within our house where my brother and I and our friends, we would play dress up, and we would host fake interviews with each other as if we had a talk show. And again, going back to the tech thing, he would have a video camera too. So we would film ourselves and just kind of be very creative and put on a show. We'd also do these debates, of course. Us and our cousins, whenever they'd come down, we would do these debates on the stage where we would host, we'd pick the topic, we'd pick who is pro and con, and we'd have a full little debate hosted on this stage. So besides just that being super fun to grow up in, it definitely was a way for us to bring about our creativity and also just to kind of be a bit more fearless, I guess, when you're presenting or speaking in public places now. I like public speaking. It's not really a fear of mine. And even just engaging with people in general, I kind of think about those days of when we'd host these fake interviews, and when you're networking or trying to meet new people, it's kind of the same. I think I learned a lot of those skills growing up and having that stage and having that kind of room to play. The other thing that I just learned being on a team, really in whatever business you're in, if you're on a team, you need to be able to connect with people and build rapport. And if you're able to kind of bring some of that fun into your team, it's a lot easier I've found for me to kind of get along with people and get to know people, and for people to kind of like you as well, because it's just a fun environment. So yeah, that fun and creative side, I definitely attribute to my dad and our growing up in a really fun and creative space. Okay, so the last thing, and I think this was the most important thing, it's the first thing I thought of when I think of my dad and what he's done to contribute to my success and kind of just the person that I am. And it's his 100% confidence that I could do anything I wanted or be whatever I wanted. Ooh, it gets me a little emotional to talk about. But yeah, he just has such a loving heart. And I think for me, I was his little girl. I have a brother, of course, but I was his first, little girl. And, he just really knew that I could do anything I wanted. He like fully believed in that. I felt like he saw something special in me from, the time before I can remember, when I was just a little girl, that like, wow, she is amazing and she can do anything she sets her mind to. Kind of like the sky is the limit. I remember one of my first goals when I was young. So I wanted to be the first woman president, which, hey, hasn't happened yet, so you never know. But even at that age, my dad was like, 100%, yes, you can do it. And anything that you set your mind to, you can do. And I think that's really helped me growing up, just to kind of try not to doubt myself, but also being a woman. I think sometimes, like, my fellow colleagues can consider, I'm a woman, and if you don't really see a lot of women in this position, maybe you feel held back or doubt that you can do it for that reason. But for me, growing up, I never really considered, I can't do this because I'm a woman, or I didn't really have any of those barriers. Like, those doubts didn't cross my mind at all. Because growing up, I never heard any differentiation of like, or she can't do this, or she's a woman, so no. I just had complete 100% support, and especially from my dad. I feel like he believed in me so much, and he just made me kind of believe in myself that I could do it because he thought I could. So that goes from like, getting straight A's in school, and I don't know, eventually going after these like competitive roles, and eventually getting into Google. He kind of just gave me that confidence in myself that I could do anything I wanted. So I love you, Dad. Thank you so much for all that you have done for me. There's so many more lessons I couldn't include, but those are the top ones that come to mind when I think of you.